Okay, welcome to episode 25. Today we're doing something special. This is part of the first of the startup series. We'll be interviewing startup organisations who are in those early formative years over a 12-month period to see how they're going, and then later on we might even interview them again on an annual or biannual basis to see how they're going. So Paz Pisarski is the founder and owner of the Community Collective, a unique organisation who helps businesses build communities as part of their strategic marketing endeavours, I guess. So Paz is full of energy, super smart human being, and who is crystal clear about what she's trying to achieve with her business. She's already got a business that's washing its own face. It's paying its own bills and certainly profitable, and she's trying to grow it. And amazingly has done it all off her own back with the support of some of her advisors. So sit back and enjoy my conversation with Paz Pisarski from the Community Collective. So obviously born and bred Dinky Di Mudinuri Aussie.
Yes. So born in Melbourne, grew up in Australia. Dad's side of the family is Polish, having our granddad born in Warsaw. I'm actually in the process of getting my Polish passport approved.
Yeah, very cool.
And Paz is a nickname from my last name, Pisarski. I was actually running athletics in year 8, overtook the fastest girl in school, and everyone just started screaming Paz, and it stuck for the rest of my life.
Nice. Yeah, well, I was in the army. I got Christo. And I was a bit of a runner back in the day too. So, but that had no relation to Christo, just because everyone's lazy, really. and WOG had been taken by somebody else, so that was good.
Perfect.
I got there. There was a guy called Lala Gaffini at my first unit, and he had WOG, so dodged that bullet.
Oh no! Yeah.
He wore it with pride, though. Power to him. So you're based in Melbourne?
I grew up in Melbourne, and then I actually moved down to the Surf Coast about in 2021. So I've been down living in Torquay, Jan Juc area for the last 3.5 years, which has been beautiful. So I live, there's 55,000 people in the town.
Wild. Yeah, I love that part of the world. I used to take the kids down there when they were young and interested in hanging out with their dad. Well, they had no choice. So before we get into the business, have you done previous ventures? Like what was your career like up until you started the business?
Yeah, definitely. So I kind of wear two hats. One, run a business called the Community Collective, but then I'm also a sound composer of relaxation music. So I've also run a music business for the last 8 years, licensing music, signed with a label in Brisbane, produced multiple albums, and sell a lot of music licensing online.
Wow.
And then compose for film and podcasts, TV, audiovisual projects, and then sell vinyls and have a product-based business basically with an e-com
That's crazy.
Site.
So that's a key person type business. So you're it, and then you use tech and contractors and whatever to do bits and bobs.
100%. Yeah. So basically it's me, but then we get I get royalties every month from all the music online. So it's a really great passive income. Some musicians in the label make about $4,000 a month just from royalties, and it just grows with your life.
Yeah.
Because that song will be on 185 different aggregated platforms similar to Spotify or Apple Music, and you'll just get paid every month. But the thing with music production, it's about quantity. So you have to release 1 to 2 tracks a week for a really long time to kind of hit that.
Okay.
Yeah, but it's really fascinating.
So you're a musician. So you obviously got you can read and write music.
Yeah. So my background on the music side, I started learning classical Spanish guitar by the Suzuki method, which is a Japanese style of learning an instrument, when I was 4.
Wow.
So studied for about 20 years in Melbourne with a teacher who trains other teachers in Australia. And we traveled to Japan, America, Italy, played in Sydney Opera House, played at Melbourne Recital Centre.
Insane.
And played a lot of music, live music, and then started writing my own music when I lived in Spain for a year studying flamenco
Well, that's
guitar.
crazy. I'm just
So
going to go grab my guitar and we'll just jam, and we'll
yes,
do this another time.
yeah, I got mine just here. It's the whole setup. This is my gig setup. This is my mic for performances and
Yeah.
stuff, which is great.
Awesome. That's really interesting. I'd flick through some of your work. I'd love to see it. I presume it's up on YouTube and stuff like that.
Yeah, definitely. You can go to pazsounds.com.
Okay. Yeah, awesome. And look, if the time comes and we need to redo our intro, outro music, you're the person. I'm coming to you.
Oh, I love that. I
You know?
love that. 100%. I'll write something just for you, just for you.
Yeah.
But aside from the music, even before the Community Collective, I worked predominantly in the startup space.
Hmm.
So I held about 4 different roles building startup communities for various types of companies.
Hmm.
So to dig deeper a bit into my background, would that be helpful if I kind of ran through any of
Please.
those
Yeah. This
stories?
is your
Yeah.
show now, Paz. This is the Paz show now.
Amazing.
Yep. Go
Amazing. Well,
hard.
welcome to the Paz Show. The Paz Show started. Let's go back to about 2018 or so when I was working at SisterWorks, which is a not-for-profit organisation in Melbourne,
Hmm.
and it was the first taste I had of the power of community and entrepreneurship. And really, at this not for profit, what we were doing is we were working with these women. They were asylum seekers. They migrated to Australia from Afghanistan, Latin America, Asia, all over the world to basically seek a better life and a better future for their family and for their children. But when they arrived, all of their qualifications were deemed irrelevant. They couldn't get a job. They were lawyers, doctors, way smarter than me, and they just wouldn't get hired. And there was a lot of bias in the country, and they were, very marginalized. So they would come to SisterWorks with all of these other women who migrated to Australia, and we would help them start a job. We'd go, you know what, screw the system. Let's teach you how to build your own business. This is what entrepreneurship is. What skills can you monetize? What products can you make? And we help them create their own wage, supply food for their family, and then connect with all of these other women in Melbourne who are I guess struggling and going down a similar path. So
Yeah.
that was just profound.
Mm.
Working with these women who had 12 children. We would run markets together. They would be business coaches. And so that really was something that catapulted me into really seeing firsthand the effects of the power of connecting a like-minded group who had a similar challenge and they were trying to solve it together, as well as giving someone the skills to monetize their own services and superpowers. So that kind of led me to join RMIT, and the University in Melbourne had just decided to open their own department to help their student staff and alumni start their own businesses. They said, you know what, let's help you spin out your own companies from university and we'll give you credit for it. And so the Activator was born.
Right.
They were about 1 year in. I joined, empty co-working space. They just run their first accelerator. And I joined and they handed over the accelerator program to me and basically said, we want this building full by the time we leave here in, 18 months. And I was with them for 3 years and grew the community from 500 to 5,000, redesigned entire co-working space, ran 12 accelerator programs. We helped students start their own businesses. And basically by the time we'd left, the entire building was full with co-working spaces and memberships, which was really cool. And we helped students get credit for having a business alongside their degree.
Well, fun fact on my to-do list today is to send through, because we're calling these interviews with these businesses the startup series. And as I was explaining to you, so the plan is, as we do the next few and kind of see how things are going, we'll move them through into Patreon or whatever. But I've got to send so I've already had a meeting with Activator, the GM of Activator, Steve, and
Nice.
so he's all over this. He's really keen to get cracking on it. So you're my guinea pig. Really,
I love that.
yeah,
I
but I
love
didn't
that.
realize that you were kind of part of the ecosystem. That's fantastic.
Yeah. So I joined Activator super early days,
Yeah.
and it was, knock down walls in that place, put plants in.
Wow.
I remember that very, very fondly. And I studied at RMIT as well, so it was
Yeah,
very
okay.
kind
So I
of
lecture at
close to
RMIT.
home.
I'm a
Oh, amazing.
sectional lecturer,
Amazing.
and my other company, DAX, looks like it's about to do a deal with a master's blockchain program to do some development. So I got to give it to RMIT. They're kind of up to their eyeballs in it. They've rolled
Yeah.
up their sleeves and they're doing some. So I presume you might know Belendran from Get Me. He's one of
Oh,
Sabella.
I don't, it
Get Me. He's
doesn't
got
ring
that
the bell
IA.
right at the moment. Maybe I'll know.
So he's got an A. So I helped him when I was with the Accelerating Commercialization. I was an advisor for that, and so he raised, I can't remember, it was a big number. I don't know, 700 grand or something like that, and
Amazing.
kind of kicked him off. And they're killing it. They're killing it now. But
I
they're
love that.
with Activator, and he sings their praises all the time.
Yeah, the Activator helped so many, I mean, activated so many businesses at that time. They were writing 20K equity-free checks for people who went through their full like capital raising process, which was just so amazing that the university was putting money where their mouth was and funding companies that had actual validation and runs on the board. And it's, yeah, obviously still runs today. I know, yeah, Francisco from One Roof just is a
Mm.
mentor at Launch Up now, and the team there is, yeah, awesome.
Yeah, wild. Okay, so the community collective. I'm intrigued on a number. I mean, not just for the sake of kind of giving it lip service. I never really thought. I mean, I've been in business for 30 odd years. I've started 9 different businesses. I never really thought about community as a driver. So can you kind of educate me a little bit? How does this work? Like, what's it? Because I can just make assumptions, but give it to me.
For sure, for sure. I think before we even dive into, I guess, how community works for a business and how you can think about that strategically, it's really helpful to define I guess, the definition of community in the context of a business. Because, a lot of people listening might go, great, I'm a part of a community. I have a netball club, my neighbors around my local area, like that might be community, might be a part of an online forum. Community is a very open, general, I guess, term that can be understood in many different ways. So the definition that we use is that a community is a group of people connected by a shared sense of purpose
Hmm.
who connect and support each other on a regular basis. And that element of regular basis is the key to differentiating a community from an audience within a business context. Every business should have an audience.
Mm.
You cannot
Right.
run a business without having an audience and hopefully turning some of those audiences into paying customers. And then if you then turn those either people in your audience or the customers that you have into a community, that can turn into a viral movement, which is a huge growth channel for a company. And so the context of a community as to how that differentiates, and not every business will have a community. So every company will have social media channels, hopefully have a newsletter and email marketing campaign, for example, and that would be an audience. It's a one-to-many communication style. It's static. Newsletter subscribers aren't catching up with other newsletter subscribers. There'd be massive data privacy breaches if that was happening.
For sure.
So, it's a very static element where this group of people are loyal, they're consuming the content, they're advocates, they really respect this business, but they don't connect with one another.
Right.
And so it flips into a community when, as soon as you allow and you open the floodgates and this audience is able to connect and support one another, and they actually have a drive to do that. So usually then it's that group of people who have a shared sense of purpose. They are really trying to achieve something similar. It's like the asylum seeker women who've migrated to
Right.
Australia, trying to start a living and build their own business. It's really niche. And so a company has, many different companies have created communities from a strategic perspective, because some of the benefits include retention, increased referrals, feedback, product ideas, brand awareness, new customers, revenue, this really shared sense of belonging. But really, it's a massive driver of growth. And founders have been building communities for centuries, since businesses existed. But I think more and more we're seeing now in this time and this day and age is basically people prioritizing building a community for a company as a strategic driver. And so, you look at companies like Culture Amp, they've created the People Geek community, which is for any HR manager interested in learning more about their team culture. You look at Slack, an online messaging platform for businesses, have built their own communities on their platform as like product exposure.
Right.
So people are getting really strategic about it.
I assume that it needs to be authentic though, because certainly, I mean, and again, I'm kind of, as you're talking, I'm kind of relating it to previous businesses I've had and the current business that I'm spinning up. Um, so the driver is commercial. There's more money in, less money out, and risk, right? And particularly in a techie space, like we're dealing with and prepared to be bored accountants and auditors, right? And in a way, well, in a very significant way, they're in a competitive landscape. Why would competitors sort of forge community? And I'm getting some free advice here. Why would they?
Yeah, it's a great question. And even on that, MYOB and QuickBooks have gone through our program and we've helped them
Right,
build a community of accountants.
right.
So, it's really strategic. And I think that a company would build a community because they want to deliver more value for their target persona. And so you can actually create a feeling that your product or service may not be able to actually replicate what a community can. So, for example, Canva have created a community for teachers who don't have access to design products. And so they give these teachers access to Canva for free for life. And then they teach them how to use Canva and they connect them with all these other
Right.
teachers to learn about what are you teaching in your class? What do you do when a kid is being a clown and you can't get them to shut up? And so their
That was me, by the
Canva
way.
is,
That was me, by the way.
yeah.
Okay.
Oh my God, I was the great student at the start, taking notes and always asking questions. But this sense of belonging that Canva has now created for these teachers all over the world is not just by giving them a great design platform, but they're actually connecting them with teachers who have the same struggles as them, and that now they're now creating friends. I look at Nike, big apparel brand, monster of a company, great shoes, runners, and they created a free community called Nike Run Club. Anyone can download the app. I can now go running with people in my small surf town with 5,000 other people, and I can go make friends. And if I meet, Sally down the road and we go running together every weekend because of Nike, I have like a profound and deep respect and connection to Nike more than any other apparel brand because they've given me a friend,
Yeah.
which is just so hard to do. And so when you do it right, it works really well. But if you are not authentic, it is shocking.
So
You see all over the place, like join our community and it's a
yeah.
newsletter subscriber
For
list. And
what?
I'm like, what is this ghost
Yeah,
town?
yeah. So is it like, I guess what would drive you if you're a car enthusiast, and I'm not, but if you're a car enthusiast or motorbike enthusiast, where you come together to check out each other's equipment, to see what
Yeah.
everyone's riding and what cars they've restored and
100%. 100%. It's like Patagonia, they've created these Facebook communities for people who want to go hiking and use their gear.
yeah.
Now everyone talks about like, oh, I ripped my backpack when I was like climbing Mount Fuji. What should I do? And then all these other people are like, oh, I've done that before. Let me help you. And then they all go hiking together. So it's this element of creating an impact that you couldn't have as a company alone because you need other people to do it with you.
Okay. Yeah, all right. Okay. Well, I think there's a bigger conversation on some of the stuff I'm doing here, but I can only milk this sucker for so much here.
Yeah.
So okay. So how did you get to? So at what point did you move from this is important, the community dynamics is important, to this is a commercial opportunity for you?
Yeah, great question. There really was a massive light bulb moment. And so I guess to rewind and take you back to how it started, we had basically, it was 2020, throw in pandemic, Melbourne, one of the most locked down cities in the world. It was horrendous. I was right in Fitzroy North, living alone, working from home, and basically just trapped in a room for a year trying to now manage a previous 3-story co-working space of 1,000 members online.
Yep.
And like so many other people, there were so many struggles. And I'd actually been accepted to study sound composition at a master's in Madrid. So I was actually moving to Spain, and obviously all of that got canned and thrown in the bin. So I thought, okay, what next? And actually I joined the startup network, which was called Startup Victoria at the time, with Judy Anderson and Poppy Truella, and joined their team as a community manager. And they're basically one of the largest startup communities in Australia. So they have over 60,000 people in the network and provide incredible support for anyone who has an idea, all the way up to some of the biggest scale-ups of the country. We were connecting people from Upbank and Linktree and Mr. Yum, and organizing these monthly dinners for founders earning over $1 million in annual recurring revenue, and understanding their challenges. And I guess what we observed during that time is that, one, being thrown from in-person at home alone and trying to build community as a traditional extroverted person,
Yep.
I struggled immensely. And of course, the community that I was supporting were founders who were struggling even more so, with businesses either shutting down or going gangbusters, and they just couldn't keep up with the growth. And so I did about 300 courtesy calls to founders in our community, and basically asked them what did they need help with. And after kind of synthesizing all those results, I actually had a panic attack. I was extremely overwhelmed. I didn't know how to support anyone. I was like, what do I do as community manager when your community is struggling and I'm struggling? Who do I lean on?
Right.
Where's my community? And so I started thinking, okay, does anyone else feel like this? I knew no other community managers. It's a really misunderstood role. And I basically wrote a list of all the people I knew. There was one name on it. So I called Jala Alex, who was working at Monash University, and asked her if she had challenges building community, and pretty much black and white, the exact same. And so we thought, all right, maybe there are other people. So we got email intro to about 50 other community managers in the startup space in Melbourne, and just said, do you know anyone that fits this role? Email intro us. And I just jumped on all these calls now with community managers. Met about 50 of them, and there was just no aligned support. I asked all of them 3 questions that were also great questions. If anyone's ever thinking about starting their own community, you should ask these 3 questions to people. It was, what are your goals? What are you trying to achieve? What challenges are you facing? And where do you currently go to gain support to overcome those challenges and achieve those goals? And there was just no clear answer on the support. All of us were like, I maybe like join a Slack, or kind of like Google something, or call my mom. And there was just
Mum's
no
always good.
support.
I still call mum.
I still call mom and dad. My dad was actually a private investigator and built a company over 40 years, and I've learned a lot.
Wow.
So yeah, another conversation for another day. But what we realized is that there was a niche group of people who needed help. And so that's how the Community Collective started. And we ran a meetup for 17 of them in between the 4th and 5th Melbourne lockdowns, when we had a fluke week of opening. And we all got together in person, and it was just this electric feeling. And we all went around and shared war stories. And we just asked the group, what do you want from each other? How can we continue supporting you? And everyone voted on a monthly forum, a monthly meetup for us to continue catching up.
So I guess, would it be right in saying that they're still in discovery mode, where nobody knows how to butter your bread in terms of creating a community? It's pretty easy to say, okay, Frederica, you're the community manager or whoever, and that person has to go away and work it out.
Exactly.
Right. And
exactly.
Yet we suffer from it, making the same mistakes unnecessarily. I mean, go make mistakes for sure, but don't make the same mistakes as everyone else. Make new mistakes.
Exactly. And so, we wanted to create a space for exactly that. Learn how to learn from other people to basically save you from making the same mistakes that we all have.
Right.
And so we were, there was 2 of us. And then at that point, Melia Rayner was also building a list of community managers to connect with. And so she came on board with Jala and I, and the Community Collective was available domain name, and we registered all of those. And at that point, it was just a meetup. So I just started working at Startup Vic, and we basically ran a monthly meetup for a year alongside our full-time jobs.
In person?
Borrowing online. It turned. So what happened after that 17 people meetup is a lot of people were like, I know someone who would benefit from this group. We're like, okay, here's an application link for Airtable. If they fill it out and they're a community builder in the startup space in Melbourne, we'll let them in. and it went viral. We had hundreds of people apply. This link was just getting shared all over, just getting email notifications like ding, 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 ding of like all these people who wanted to join. So we moved it online, and then Blackbird Ventures, like sponsored out like a Zoom account for it. They was like letting us use their Zoom account, which was super nice. And we ran that, and we had about 80 people live every month, new people every time for about a year. And it got to that point, to come back to your question of at what point do you realize this is a commercial opportunity? Well, when you had 500 people emailing you, asking for coaching, mentoring frameworks, more support, one-on-one work. Hey, Paz, can we have a coffee?
Yep.
It was overwhelming.
Yep.
It was just humanly not possible to do anything whilst working full-time in another company. And so that was a moment where we went, oh, wow, we've struck a chord with a really niche group of people. There's something more here.
So who was we?
It was myself, Melia, and Jala. So the three of us had been running it for the first year. And so I went to them and said, hey, I reckon we should register the Community Collective as a company. I'm going to quit my job. I'm going to go all in and just give it a crack and try and serve these people.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want in? And they were like, we want in, but we're going to keep our job. So we want out of operations, and maybe let's join the advisory board.
Right.
I was like, great. So they stepped out of operations, became the first members of our advisory board. I became the first employee or founder of the Community Collective, and then we registered it as a PTY Ltd company in July 2022.
So technically you're a founder and then you're an employee.
Yeah, right? How funny is that?
Own it, woman. Own
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. Started my own business, then gave myself a job.
There it is.
Genius. So yeah, registered as a company in 2022. And then I spent 3 months interviewing those 500 people. Again, goals, challenges, what support are you looking for?
Wow.
And then brought in 5 learning designers from Scandinavia from a methodology called Chaos Pilot.
What made you think of that? What made you think of that? Like, how did you get to that? Did you have some expertise in the area? I wouldn't have thought of that.
Yeah, so I had run like 12 accelerator programs at RMIT.
Okay. Yep.
So I'd ran the Launch Hub programs, and then I'd managed a monthly membership at the Startup Network. SisterWorks was all in person. So I had really different, I'd ran a membership, a program, and an in-person community. I had a really good kind of breadth of experience. And the cohort program I saw gave the most outcomes for people: accountability, scarcity, group herd mentality, time-bound experience, high quality, premium, high spend, and you get better outcomes, as opposed to a monthly membership where anyone can join at any time and make use of it. And actually there's kind of no accountability to make use of it.
So it sounds like the universe had kind of aligned, right? Because if whoever woke up one morning and went, oh, I think there's an opportunity with the communities, they probably wouldn't have been anywhere near as well placed as you, specifically at that point in time in your life, that experience, and can I say too, and I see this all the time, of course, is that you're moving through pea soup fog, and things are revealing themselves in the mystical entrepreneurial forest. And you go, that way, that way.
Yeah. Oh. Over there.
I think.
So,
wait. No. Danger. That way.
And you just hit such a great point there, Peter, because we never set out to build a business. Like, we accidentally started a meetup that went viral, and now it's a 6-figure company generating more income than I could have ever asked for at my previous job.
Right.
Like, it's profound because it was an accident, but then it was very targeted in making decisions. But we never planned to create a business for community builders. It exactly unfolded in that way. And I think timing was a huge thing. Like, it was during the pandemic. Community managers were like still really misunderstood. And I feel like after the world opened, community really absolutely catapulted, and we're seeing more groundswell, but we'd already been doing it for 2 years. And it was just the timing. I feel very lucky because I've supported hundreds of founders, thousands, and have seen so many businesses fail. And to see this kind of come out the other side in such a tumultuous market has been, really fascinating.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Okay, so it sounded like, so then you start bringing together your programs. You basically productize your service. and your knowledge. What happened then? Like it doesn't sound like it was a hard sell at that point.
Yeah, so obviously interviewed the three months of interviews, and the Chaos Pilot. Where did that come from? So Chaos Pilot is a school of learning designers in Scandinavia, and I'd met a facilitator at RMIT who generously gave me a 2-day experience. So I
Mm.
went through their 2-day masterclass to learn how to design
Yeah.
learning experiences, and so I knew that they were the geniuses behind creating a curriculum that would drive the outcomes that my community was looking for. So compared, like matching all of that interview data with geniuses from Scandinavia who know how to design programs, and then project managing the whole thing, we built this 7-week program. And when I say built it, I basically wanted to test before building it and spending any money. We were bootstrapped. I'd spent about $3,000 just on registering it as a company and a website. And then I thought, okay, cool program. All right, let's just put up an expression of interest form. It'll start September. It's 7 weeks. It's an outcome to help you build community. Anyone keen? If we get like 20 people, we'll build it.
Right.
And 100 people sign up in 24 hours from a LinkedIn post.
Get out.
Oh my God. Yeah, wild. And we said, okay, all right, we'll build the program. So then gathered all the tech tools,
It's a
locked in all
pre-sale.
the speakers.
It was a pre-sale, Paz.
It was a pre-sale. Yeah, 100%. It was a pre-sale with no money involved, but then we priced it. It was $880 Australian or $1,000 if you want coaching. And we had 37 people buy the program.
Crazy.
So, we took those 37 people through the program, and now we've run the program 4 times, have 161 alumni across 18 countries. We've created over, oh my God, I guess like 172 community strategies for 172 different businesses.
Do you track?
Which is wild.
Do you track the impact, like on a revenue or market acquisition for them? So Schnerd Burglar Inc. does your course, does your program, goes away, applies, and then goes, hey, we've just put another $100,000 on the bottom line or whatever.
It's a great thing. I think we could do better at that by tracking that kind of tangible outcomes for our alumni post program. But actually what we've found is that over 42% of our alumni have come back to the program to do it a second, third or fourth time because they don't want to leave the community. So we don't offer a membership, but we're building a programship where our community shows up 8 weeks, twice a year, these really high intense containers where we learn, upskill, connect with other people, and then we go away for the rest of the year to implement, do our jobs, and then come back. And we provide feedback. And the whole crux of this program is we're helping you build a community strategy to calculate the ROI of what you're building is valuable for the company, but you're also generating an impact for these members. So
because that's
we believe
that as well. That's a meaningful metric as well.
The community will suck if it's a shit experience. Pardon my French, but it's seriously so important because, it's so important because if people aren't finding the community valuable, it's a waste of time and they'll leave, and it's an awful thing to manage a community where you're just bleeding money, resources, and no one's in it. I've seen a lot of those.
It sounds like you must have had to do some thinking around the business model as well, where, how much do I charge and what is it? Is it a membership? Is it a what do you call it? A programship? So that's like an innovation in itself. I've never heard of that before. How do I maintain engagement? Because most business startup owners, they go, okay, well, can I get their credit card details and just keep clipping away every month, so have a monthly recurring revenue? But it sounds like you kind of saw, look, there's a better way to do this, which is more aligned with delivering value and not letting anyone at any point feel like they are hooked into something they're not getting value out of.
Exactly. I'd rather go deep with a select few people than scratch the surface of thousands for $5 a month.
Yeah. Because it's all self-funded now. You haven't given away equity for investors or anything like that?
No equity. I own 100% of the equity, and we basically bootstrapped that. It was like a couple grand, and then paid that back. I mean, it became profitable in 3 months.
Wow.
Paid that back in 3 months, and then started paying myself as a subcontractor.
Mm-hmm.
I really believe in talking about paying yourself as a founder, especially as a woman. I feel as if there are so many barriers and
Men have to eat
mindset
too,
blocks.
Men have to eat too.
Men do have to eat as
Just
well. 100%. And there are many males and non-binary folk as well out there who struggle with paying themselves a salary when building a business. And I think
because I think we forget, whoever you are as a human being, carbon-based life form, we forget that you've got to have a legitimate investment back in yourself as well as what you're investing in, right?
100%.
Yeah.
The founder or first employee expense is the number one investment a company can pay for, because if that person isn't running it, the whole thing falls over. So
Right.
it is so valuable and worthwhile for the company to pay for that as an expense. And also for us as humans. I mean, we've got to live, we've got to eat.
Yeah.
We need to make sure that we can have a life. And if we're stressed and burnt out and exhausted and not feeling financially valued, that impacts our work ethic, our ability to show up, and the company overall.
Well, sidebar, I know you've just come back from a month-long trip. I've got to say, every time I hop on a plane, I hop in my car, I just came back from Queensland. I'm going to probably go over to Adelaide in a couple of weeks for meetings and whatever. I'll do a road trip, and the minute I get out of the city limits, I start to exhale and I start to come up.
Yeah.
I've had to pull up, and I say this literally, pull the car over and start writing the shit down. If you have a self-managed superannuation fund or business and are considering including Bitcoin on your portfolio or balance sheet and want to do it safely and cost-effectively, contact Digital Asset Custody Solutions today. Digital Asset Custody Solutions taps into over 10 years of experience in digital assets, including Bitcoin and stablecoins. They are also the only provider of digital asset attestations to help you when it comes time to submit your returns. Visit www.dacs.io or call 1300 346 495 for more information today. Get off zero Bitcoin today with Digital Asset Custody Solutions.
Yeah, literally. And, I just spent a month road tripping up the East Coast, working 8 to 10 hours a week, just work 7 a.m. till 9 a.m. and then have the rest of the day hiking and getting a wave. And, I think that seasonal work of having high intense periods of work, when we're running a program, running 3 workshops a week. And when I'm off, I'm off.
Yeah.
I'm out in nature, decompressing, and that's when I have the best ideas for the business for the next quarter.
Mm-hmm.
So it's all connected. But to come back to your question around, how did that happen, and understanding, I guess, that financial pathway was registering as a company, became profitable within 3 months, started paying myself as a subcontractor. So I have my music ABN, contracting to the community collective, one business to the other.
Definitely.
And then paid myself for, the 160 hours that I worked running that first program, which paid myself a wage. And then I'd also saved up 10,000 Australian before I quit my job, just as a buffer, as Paz's runway for her life.
That'll cover
in
my
case she
coffee
needed
for
it.
a month. That'll cover my coffee for a month.
Yeah. It was actually just 1 month of chai lattes is what all of the 10 grand covered. But no, I didn't actually have to dip into that because I had the music business running on the side, and then I did contracting and coaching during that time. So it was a really intense 6 months, and came out the other side and then launched the second program. And then the Community Collective had enough runway for me to sign up as an employee on a salary, tax, super, all that jazz. And then basically been working full time since then for the Community Collective.
So what happens to your music business? Like you kind of run that as a side hustle then?
So yes. So the music business then had to take a bit of a backseat. I felt really bad for neglecting them for a little bit, but basically I found a better, balance because just the creativity you get from playing guitar, writing music, playing
Right.
gigs, it fuels me in a way that the Community Collective can't. And so what do I do? What do I do is I basically bulk record in January and June. I'm about to go record an album in Oxford.
Mm-hmm.
I'm in England next week, and so I'll record for a week. I'll record about 2 to 3 albums at once. I'll do about 37 tracks, and then I'll mix master them all myself. I've got Pro Tools, all the fancy terminology for music that won't make sense to a lot of people, but basically have all the stuff to then produce all the music, send that to my label, and then it will get distributed over that next 6 months every week. So I have 3 alias profiles. So Paz Sounds, Paz Guitar, and Agua, that are all different artists, and then I'll put out a song a fortnight across all of them. So then that gives me passive income of royalties each month.
So what do you
for those
use?
6 months?
What do you use as the platform for that? Are there third-party platforms that you use to syndicate your music?
Yeah, so I use Pro Tools to record and mix master the music, and then I send it to GyroStream, my label Paz Sounds in Brisbane, and then then that's like the platform I use. They're like an aggregator in itself. Right. So an aggregator, yeah, it's like the middle. It's like a stockbroker between, investing in finances on the stock market. I need a broker platform to do that.
Yeah, wild. Okay, that's probably another conversation for another time. I've got a few friends, well, one particular friend, Taki, who is crazy in this space. He's mad DJ, goes to the guy's north of 50, and he's
nice.
He's like a 28-year-old just in this space because he's just living his dream.
Love that.
Yeah. Okay.
Love that.
So I've got here, what helped, what hindered. It sounds like, and one of the lines I used there in my questions was blessed by the gods. I think you were blessed by the gods in terms of timing. The technology was there. You were the right person for the job. You had the entrepreneurial awareness, and you probably had, you definitely had the DNA in you to run with this. It doesn't sound like there were any, certainly I'm sure you made some mistakes, but it doesn't sound like there was anything that was fatal. It was forgiving.
It was, it's been a hell of a journey. I mean, there are failures, so many to count. I think failure is actually just a synonym for learning,
right?
Because every time you go, oh, damn, I wish I didn't do that. You go, now I know what to do next time. Cool. Never make that mistake again. Carry on.
Right.
And on and on. I think that there was a lot of risk. Like, you have to be strong enough to take a bold risk. I felt ill, quitting my job, saving 10 grand, registering a company, building a program that didn't exist. Oh, it's terrifying. And so what helped me, I would put it down, honestly, to 3 things. These are probably the 3 things that I think set us apart, but personally set me up to be able to actually just have that awareness and have the grit. And so number 1 is a mentality around who, not how. This is a really great book called Who, Not How. You can Google it and find online. But the whole mentality is, I think we come from a culture that's very individualistic. Mm-hmm. So we silo ourselves. We take on all the responsibility. We can never ask for help. It's got to be me, because, we've got to act like we've got it all together. My life is fine. I love my job. I'm totally
big strong.
big strong. Yeah, exactly. So there's this false, I think, livelihood that we try and live up to, and Who, Not How just absolutely crashes that down. So instead of thinking, how am I going to build this business? How am I going to build a program? How am I going to make any money? You should start asking yourself, who has built a business before? Who can help me do this? Who can I learn from? Who can I surround myself with? So in the darkest times, when community building is wild, there's beautiful roses and there's crazy thorns, and so much happens behind the scenes. And I think there's a lot of different situations that can come up because you are the face of the brand.
Right.
You have thousands and hundreds of thousands of people. You're just so visible. So of course there is the rainbows and there is the mud, right. I think, in the whole journey. But that mentality around who, not how is really thinking about, surrounding myself with people who are in it with me. So Melia and Jala, co-founders for that first year. That second year had incredible support from amazing subcontractors. Now our team with Jess, Jem, and Liz is the four of us pioneering at the moment. And so that support is paramount. But then I built a personal advisory board around me. So Melia Rajala joined that first 2 seats. And then I've identified the 3 gaps that I needed. I wanted someone who'd built a business that was financially viable, because you need cash to run a company and create more impact. And so I found Kim McGuinness, who lived in Sydney. She's built a membership company, sold that, lives in Sydney, phenomenal woman. And then I wanted someone who's built an incredibly profitable program, because that is a really key niche group
Right.
of skill sets, and found Dan Sleeman, who works at Rite of Passage, which is an incredible program. And then also found Ben Davies, who built some of the early stages of the Canva community. He works in legal tech.
Wow.
He's,
And you say
phenomenal.
found like they were lost in the street, and you actually found them. Like, how did you get to them?
Yeah. They were just out in the street, super lost. They were like, hello, looking for a female founder to mentor. Anybody? I found them.
Did that help? Like, the fact that you're a female make any difference? You think that would have helped you
Uh,
anyway?
no, I don't think it made any difference. I think I had ambition, I had a vision, I knew what I wanted, and I needed a lot of help. And I'm really open and transparent. And I believe
There's a
in.
humility to you, Paz. So, and which I think is
Mm,
a positive
mhm,
attribute to
mhm.
have as a founder, regardless of what age or what stage in your life you're at. So I think that's endearing, and
No,
that will open doors. You know, this person genuinely is doing this because
yeah.
this is her thing, right?
Yeah, and you got to be honest. You just have to say, I do not have it all figured out at all. I'm making it up as I go, and I'm doing the best that I can, because I actually care about the people that we serve, but I want to do a really, really, really good job.
Yeah.
And I come back to that who, not how, and how did I find them? Well, I identified the skills gaps, and I wrote them in a journal. I write daily. I have about, that whole cupboard is probably like full of journals that I've written in. Writing is really powerful, because you
Mm,
process thoughts more quickly, and then you identify great ideas. And I thought, cool,
mm,
build this personal advisory board around myself. These are the 3 gaps. And then you kind of just let go. And I was like, cool. And you just have that in your awareness. And then people would just email intro me to people all the time. And then I had a phone call with Kim, and I was like, oh my God, she's that person. And after that call, I just said, hey, how would you feel about us having a call, maybe 1 hour every 2 months, 6 hours in a whole year, and I can learn from what you built, because it's absolutely incredible. And she was like, let's do it.
yeah. So
So
again, the image that's conjuring up in my mind is this. There's this Paz who's moving through this forest and continues to move forward in spite of the uncertainty, in spite of the confusion, in spite of the possible opprobrium from people she doesn't even know. Right.
yeah.
But that's that. I mean, you mentioned the word grit before. You know, that keeps on popping up in my conversations too. Just people mentioning that word, and it's right on. But and I confide in my partner a lot when I'm explaining to her what's going on, and she's kind of not connected with the entrepreneurial world. She works in government, but uh, but but I tell her, I say, I feel like I'm going to throw up. Like, I feel like I'm going to,
Mm,
I don't know, but something's just pulling me forward, and I've got to keep doing this. So,
yeah. Yeah.
so going back to, so mum and dad, so who put their arms around you while you're doing this? Because you need some time to switch off and go, I feel safe.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
100%. Well, I mean, leaving Melbourne was a really great decision, to be honest, because I lived, down the surf coast. So I'm in Surf Town. My family lives in Melbourne.
Hmm.
So I actually didn't know anyone down here, but I had one friend who saw a house come up. She said, you should take it, took the house,
Hmm.
and then moved down here. Didn't know anyone, and then have made a really good friendship group. So this turns out building community for businesses works in your own personal life.
Right, right.
Built like a women's potluck community, and catch up every month, and we have a Facebook chat. So that's been really helpful.
So,
But
so
yeah, you.
talk to me a bit more about that, because I hear that from friends as well. I've got one friend who's moved up to Queensland, and I know a few people who a little bit older than you, obviously around my age, but they do suffer for a lack of a community.
Oh
So,
yeah, it's huge. I reviewed the top rated LinkedIn posts that I wrote in 2023 to see what stuck out the most. And the top two in the top two was an article I wrote that's called How to Make Friends.
and not
Had like
influence people.
80,000 people found this article, crazy,
Wow,
and
wow.
people just want to feel heard.
Mm,
They want to be able to walk down the street and grab a coffee with someone, and being in a small surf town increases the likelihood of you making friends because you're basically increasing the surface area of your luck for more connections to occur. Because if I bump into Rob
mm-hmm.
at the surf car park and we're like going for a wave out at Steps, and then I see him at Swell because it's the only cafe in Jan Chuck, I'm like, oh, Rob, like, I just saw you up there. How's your wave? Like, that was a sick ride handout. And he's like, yeah, actually, Paz, you did really well on the boogie board. Like, and I'm not a surfer, I'm a boogie boarder, just to be clear as well. And I think that people really struggle. It's really hard. And as you get older, it's much harder to make friends. You have less social outings. If you don't have a partner, that's even harder as well. But something that I did is one, try and find groups of people that would increase my chances of meeting like-minded people. So I joined a netball team, joined a soccer team,
Right.
would go to the same cafe every single day for months until I walked in and they said, Paz, good to see you, chai latte. And then they invited me to their birthday party. And,
Wow.
so it's about consistency, and building community is actually just building deep relationships at scale.
Yep.
If you are good at having a conversation with someone, actually caring about who they are and what they're trying to achieve, and then you show up on a consistent basis, you're building a deep relationship. And then they're going to go, hey, Paz actually helped me with that goal. Maybe I'll help her.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And that's all it is. And you do that at scale.
I think you get better at it. So certainly, when I was in my 20s and my 30s, it took a while to get known in the cafe. I walk into a cafe now, and I've recently started going to this place up the road where I live, and I reckon they picked up within about my fourth visit. I mean, they knew my coffee, and then the owner introduced himself, and now he kind of nods to me like I'm a
Yeah.
relative sort of thing. And
Yeah.
actually, I was reading something for an unrelated reason around mental health, and it's near a hospital. I think he thought I was a medical professional, which I could not be further away from. But I'd left some material there that I'd read, and I was, kind of disposing of. And he thought, oh, this guy must be a psych or something.
Yeah. You're like, oh, what is he doing?
Yeah, I let him run with it. So,
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
so that's where we are right now. So the business is washing its face. It's making a profit. Obviously, it's covering its costs by the sounds of things. Doesn't sound like you're in distress in any way. So you've probably got you've established a beachhead.
A
And
what?
a
What was
beachhead,
that word?
a beachhead. So it's a military term. So when you come from the ocean to a foreign land that you're going to conquer, and so one of the first things you do is you establish a beachhead. So beachhead being
Oh, tell me about that.
where they land the first troops. They secure fortresses. They dig trenches. They just prepare an area for the rest of the troops to land, and then you project your power moving forward. So the beachhead is kind of your base of operations. So your base of operations out on the flotilla out in the ocean, where all the risk is. All right. So you want to secure the initial ground to then move. I mean, military metaphors, I don't think always apply in business, but they are helpful in thinking about what you're moving in. You're dealing with risk and you're projecting power. And your power is your ideas and your thoughts and your ability to deploy your capital, however limited it is, in an economic way, right?
Yeah. Were you in the military?
Yes,
Is
ma'am,
this
I
something you
was.
experienced?
Yeah.
I love that. When was that?
Okay, so I was in 3 times. I was in
Wow.
as a teenager. I was still in high school. I was a commando down in Williamstown, here in Victoria. And then I joined the Regs. I was in the Regs for 3 years up in Townsville. I was with the Operational Deployment Force up there in communications because I could think. And then later on, I did some officer training as a reservist. So
So cool.
yeah, so
And then started nine companies along the way or
yeah,
afterwards.
yeah, yeah. Well, there's a lot. Actually,
Wow.
the next interview I've got is with an old buddy of mine who's a SaaS cat. So we actually got posted the essays together, or around the same time. I beg your pardon, but I didn't go. I just decided I didn't want to put holes in people's plaster and kick their doors in. I'd
Yeah.
rather go back to uni and do something else, and probably am alive and kicking as a result.
Interesting.
But he went over and he got deployed to Afghanistan and whatever. And there are
Wow.
and I spoke to him. So his name's Harry Moffat. It's actually Tony, but it's another story again. So he and I had a chat about it and said, look, there are some parallels between not only the military but special forces specifically and entrepreneurship. So you are the way I look at somebody like you, and you're a poster child for this, is you are in the special forces of business. You're not in conventional business. You're doing stuff with limited resources, out on your own, relying on your own ability to survive, and actually not only survive but deliver the goods in terms of whatever objectives you've got going forward. And yeah, you got to rest at some point, and you've got to come back to base and be able to have a nice, 3 square meals a day. But for the moment, you're doing it hard. Right? You're
Mm.
doing it hard,
Mm.
and you've got that lever that you push, but the skills that you're clipping onto your belt, the ability to do the sorts of things to survive in that difficult terrain that you're going through, and then create something out of nothing. Right? So
Yeah.
you're creating. My pet theory is, men really like entrepreneurship because we don't get a chance to create. We don't create another
Mm.
entity, another human
Yeah,
being.
yeah, yeah.
This is our way to create.
Yeah.
So you got both sides of it there, Paz. But look, I want to kind of get some clarity now because we're going to do this again in a few months. So what are and you may not have anything definitive, right? But what are the goals for the next 12 months? What do you see the community collective over in 12 months' time? What are the things you're shooting for?
Yeah, I definitely will go into goals, and I want to make sure that I don't leave any listeners hanging on the other two elements that did help me along the way.
Okay,
So I might quickly revisit
please.
those and then go into the goals. So just in case there was someone like, what was the other two
Yeah.
that were there? What are
Okay.
they? Oh no, write them down, write them down. So super, super quick. It was the who, not how. Surround yourself with
Yep.
great people. And then the second one is getting a meditation practice. So
Okay.
Vedic meditation, Eastern Indian philosophy. Do that twice a day, 20 minutes a day. I think that's where I get the most clarity, de-stress, and don't freak out
Hmm.
a lot of the time, which allows you to take risk. And the third one being actually just being extremely genuine and just being open and honest and saying when you need help and what you're trying to achieve and sharing your vision widely with people. Because the more that you can actually rally a group of people around something that they really care about, the more of a movement that you will build. Because I think, with over 10,500 people in our audience, we've built a movement, which is wild. It's taking me to London next week to share this story. Took me to San Francisco last year. It's taking me to Costa Rica in 2025. Like,
Why?
what we're building has created waves and a movement, and it's because that our vision is to make community building one of the most impactful business strategies that a company can have. And to give it that respect in the industry is tough, and that's a 10-year goal that we have. But to go into the rest of the goals that we do have in the next 12 months, we have a habit. We've done this since we started, and basically every 6 months, so January and July, we set our goals for the next 6 months, but we also set a 12-month mark and then a 3-year and a 10-year. So we've got our 10-year picture, and then we've got our 3-year vision in which we're trying to encapsulate that. And then we have our 1 year of, cool, what do we need to do in 2024? And then what are our 6-month quarterly metrics that we need to hit? So if I look at our North Star, which is if this is the only thing that we achieved in 2024, we would have enough money to run and exist, and we would also have the impact on our members to actually be a force for positive change, and that is to support 110 people through our community cohort programs. So we had 71 in cohort 4, and we've got cohort 5 this September. So hopefully we'll hit our 110 by the end of the year. And then as well, looking at the cohort experience. So we then break our goals down into engagement and then growth. So we want to make sure that we're providing a positive impact for all those that we engage. So we look at those current members and we go, great, well, let's make sure they have a great program experience. We want at least 80 NPS, which is Net Promoter Score, which basically measures the experience that someone has in the program. And then we want at least 55% of members in the program to create and submit a community strategy for their business.
Yep.
Because if they do that, they're likely to have a great impact on the company, and also more likely to renew with us post-program, join that programship that I mentioned,
Yep.
which is a win-win. And then as well, we look at B2B. Something that has been really tough this year, has definitely taken a lot longer than previous years, are the partnerships, sponsorships, like really looking at that B2B alignment. That B2C is our program, and that's going super strong. It's the North Star of the company. But we have 3 other revenue streams and offerings in which we provide partnerships for companies, recruitment for companies to hire community talent, and then as well we do consulting. So we'll come into a company such as the Mildura Regional Development Company in Mildura, Australia,
Right.
and we help them build a community strategy, launch a startup community there. So someone who doesn't have time for an 8-week program will come into the company and be an extension of their team. But that B2B piece has taken, I think, a lot longer. People are tightening spending. They're scrutinizing metrics. It's taken a lot longer, I think, to build trust and relationships when people spend on a 12-month annual partnership, which basically is a brand awareness piece. So we'll deliver strategic brand awareness to a company that is looking to basically reach more people.
Mm-hmm.
So we've strategically aligned with Discourse, which is an incredible online platform for members who want to host the online home for their community. And they're an American-based company, but their co-CEOs are in Australia and New Zealand. And so we've basically been driving new leads, more reach, more brand awareness, running events and brand and different content for them to basically reach more people in the APAC region, which has been really fun and super, super awesome. But I think a goal for us would be to make sure that we have 2 annual partnerships by the end of 2024 to kind of carry through that impact.
Awesome. Wow. There's some pretty audacious goals.
Yeah, we're ambitious.
Yeah.
I think you set your goals and then you aim to achieve at least 70%. Like if I hit 70% hit rate, that's amazing. I know I'll never hit 10 out of 10, but you got to have some stretch to go,
Mm-hmm.
okay, whoa, how are we going to grow this?
So you do the selling as well. So when leads, I presume leads come through your pipeline, inquiries, yada yada, they all sort of land in one central area, and then you follow them up, or do you? And right alongside that, I mean, if you're a one-person show at the moment with assistance, how do you run the programs? Like you just do them all yourself?
So there's actually 45 people that help us run one program.
There it is.
So So yeah, we had 71 people in cohort 4 and we have 45 people supporting to run it. Now, what does that look like? Well, to build a community successfully, you have to build community with your members. You can't build community for people. You should write a newsletter if that's your approach. You need to build it with them. So co-creation is a key tactic that we use.
Mm-hmm.
And so to do that, we have people in our program that come back. So we have 8 alumni editors. We have multiple alumni mentors that welcome people. We have alumni hosts across Melbourne, Sydney, Lagos, Nigeria, Auckland, Brisbane, who run in-person meetups for everyone in the program. And then we also have coaches who provide one-on-one support. We have had over 8 speakers. We have 12 ambassadors, and then there's a team of 4 of us. So there's a lot of, there's subcontractors, there's people in the community, there's our team, employees, our ambassadors. There's so many people involved in this experience. It's not just me.
Right.
It's not just Paz's company. The Community Collective has outgrown anything that I would be able to build it to be on my own. And so it really is a living and breathing organism.
So, okay, so if we put something in the diary for the next 3 months, what would be one thing you'd want to have kind of nailed by then?
I would love to have I'd love to find 2 to 3 companies to co-host the biggest event of the year in Melbourne to
Mhm.
celebrate the Community Collective's 3rd birthday. So if we land a venue and two to three companies that will help us bring this event to life to connect our members in person, that would be a massive win. I put that in the B2B sponsorship partnership bucket. In 3 months, that would take us to July, August, September. Our cohort would nearly be started. I'd love to have at least 50 people in cohort 5.
Mhm.
I'd love to lock in like an incredible author in cohort 5. So we invite an author every program and then we order copies of their books and post it out to people who submit their strategy template in week 5. And we've had Tim Duggan, David Spinks, who's written The Business of Belonging, and multiple other incredible writers. I'd love to lock in someone like Priya Parker from The Art of Gathering, Seth Godin, who's written Tribes,
Mm.
and
He's still
you know,
around, Seth Godin. God.
oh my God, it would be incredible. Or Kevin Hui, who's written, he's one of the co-writers for Get Together, one of my favorite books ever on community building. So yeah, if we can lock in like an incredible author for next program, I'll be really happy.
Awesome. Okay. All right. So I say we leave it there, leave them wanting for more. But if people want to get in touch with you, having listened to this one, what's the best way to do it?
Yeah, so you can go to thecommunitycollective.co for anything if you need help building community for a company, hiring, or brand awareness with community builders. You can reach out to us via our contact page. If you need some relaxation music for some concentration, go to pazsounds.com.
Done.
Seriously, listen to Sounds of Solitude. It's my favorite, but somehow Evolve went viral, and that's one song that's listed on all the Spotify playlists.
Okay.
And as well, if you need any community building tactics monthly, you can go to Pizzazz, which is my monthly newsletter to build mind-blowing communities. But I can send you all the links.
Awesome. Please do that. I'm going to have to look at my budget and see if I can put my Marcoms person, Mia, on one of your programs.
Oh,
I think that would be fantastic because, I mean, without putting too fine a point on it, I don't consider myself a marketer, but I studied marketing in my undergrad. No one ever talked about this. I mean, peripherally,
yeah.
maybe I could stretch, but nobody really talked about it as a discipline, as something that should be incorporated as part of an overall marketing strategy. So, they might put it in marketing communications, but it's really not that.
Mm.
It's really not
hmm
that. It's a thing unto itself. It's clear, absolutely clear to me.
Yeah. I
So,
mean, people are building people are building SaaS companies, software as a service. People are building CaaS companies, community as a service. Community is the product,
mm.
but it's also, community building has also come from marketing, customer success, kind of glorified, and then now it's its own entity in itself. So love that.
Awesome. All right. Well, thanks. Thanks so much, Paz. I look forward to hearing what's happening in the next few months.
Yeah. All right. Sounds great. Thank you so much for having me.
No worries. Okay, so that was Paz. I hope you enjoyed that conversation with her. I think she's doing some amazing things. Really, really interesting space. You wouldn't have thought that there was a business in building communities, but there you are. Clearly, there is. I think she's certainly thinking about it the right way and tackling the challenges with gusto. And I'm looking forward to us having our follow-up meetings. The first one's going to be in October, so put that in your diary on or about the 9th. And we'll see whether how things are going for her. And I'd put money on that she'll be nailing those goals that you spoke about. For the moment, thank you again for joining us. Enjoy the rest of your day. This is Entrepreneurship with Christo.